Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Thank you for being here. Guys, we have quite a few earthquakes we need to talk about. These earthquakes have been happening in places we haven't seen some of these earthquakes happen. Okay, I'm going to first start off with probably one of the most significant quakes in quite some time, and this is in north central Idaho. The media is reporting this to be in southern Idaho. It is not. This is in north central Idaho. There was a 5.0 earthquake. USGS reported it as a 4.9. It's a 5.0 large earthquake. This is 25 kilometers or approximately 20 miles northwest of Stanley, Idaho. This actually not even Stanley, Idaho. This is near Smith Ferry, Idaho. About 10 kilometers north of Smith Ferry, Idaho. This is south of the lake. And this is also on an earthquake fault. That's why this is important. This, I don't believe, has anything to do with the Yellowstone magma chamber. We've had a couple other aftershocks since then. Only one is being reported as an aftershock. The earthquake, the original 5.0 earthquake, happened at approximately 10:27 a.m. this morning. USGS is reporting another aftershock approximately 12 noon today, which was a 2.7. There have been two other aftershocks since the other large quake. East of there, this is Stanley, Idaho. If you remember, Stanley, Idaho, Challis, Idaho area was the epicenter of a 6.5 earthquake back in 2020. It was a very strong 6.5. It was the strongest earthquake seen in Idaho in quite some time. And that's why this 5.0 is a significant quake. This is the strongest since that 6.5. Will there be more larger earthquakes around this area in the near future? It's unknown. But because this is on an earthquake fault, just south of the big lake, I believe we can stand by for more earthquakes. Okay. The agency said today's quake originated near Smiths Ferry, which is about 50 miles south of McCall, just south of Lake Cascade, along State Highway 55. Again, USGS reported this as a 4.9 at about 10:25 a.m. this morning. People felt this earthquake all the way south into Boise, which is the capital of Idaho. Again, this is the largest earthquake in Idaho since March 2020 when that 6.5 hit. The Valley County Sheriff's Office said that they had not received any reports of injuries or any damage from those quakes. 6 other smaller earthquakes have been seen since then. 6 other aftershocks. Again, USGS does not put them on the map. For whatever reason, they're not putting them on the map. Another earthquake I want to report happened over in the inner mouth of the Gulf of California. This was a 4.1 earthquake. It came out as a 4.5. And of course, they downgraded by almost a half magnitude. A 4.1 earthquake, approximately 170 kilometers or 107 kilometers southeast of Estacion Coahuila, Baja California. Approximately, I want to say 85 miles southeast of Estacion Coahuila, Baja California. This is over just south of the main part of Mexico. It's in the Gulf of California. It's also on the San Andreas Fault in the Gulf of California. We've had two other earthquakes also down there in the Gulf of California. These were 4.0 and 4.1 earthquakes, happened in the central part of the Gulf of California today. Again, USGS is not reporting these earthquakes. These were reported by the EMSC, which is a European agency. I'm going to go over now and talk about another earthquake over in the Indian Ocean. This happened on the Owen Fracture Zone, right next to the Gulf of Aden. The Owen Fracture Zone is over on the northeast side of Africa, just south of Saudi Arabia. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. We don't usually see earthquakes here very often, but when we do see them, they're probably significant quakes because that energy is going either north into Iran and Iraq or over into the Gulf of Aden, Saudi Arabia area. Now, this area also has a great deal of seismic energy stored there. So at any time, a major earthquake can happen in the Owens Fracture Zone. We've had many earthquakes stall out here. That's why that energy is stored up right there in the Indian Ocean on the Owens Fracture Zone. Going over into the Pacific Ocean, I also want to report another earthquake over near Taiwan. This is a 4.3 earthquake. This is over off the northeast coast of Taiwan, 55 miles or 55 kilometers northeast of Taiwan. Okay, a moderate 4.3 earthquake. Then in southern Japan, there was another large earthquake there just on the coastline of southern Japan, 19 kilometers northwest of Ozu, Japan. We have other earthquakes over in Noto Peninsula in the Sea of Japan today, but again, USGS is not reporting those. Off the northeast coast of Japan, we have a 4.2 earthquake. Off 73 kilometers northeast of Onagawa, Cho, Japan. This is also a frequent area where we have earthquakes. I believe we're going to have a larger earthquake in this specific area off the northeast coast of Japan. This is also an area where we have a large chokehold on seismic energy. Now, I'm going to skip over to Mindanao, Philippines. Again, this is just on the coast of Mindanao, Philippines, in the same location where we had a major earthquake just over 2.5 months ago. Again, this is a 5.0 earthquake, 10 kilometers northeast of La Paz, Philippines. It's right along the coastline. This, like I said, is the exact same location where we had a 8.4, 9.0 earthquake here 2.5 months ago. That means this energy still conglomerated in that area. We can't ignore this. We can't ignore it at all. The energy's still here. Why am I concerned about that? Because again, the USGS is not putting out that information. Heaven forbid something else happens. All these earthquakes off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines are aftershocks. This is an aftershock of that 8.4, 9.0 earthquake 2.5 months ago. Just for kicks and giggles, for those of you, well, I shouldn't even say that. We just received an Amber Alert from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Police are looking for Jackson Brown. This man is a white male, blonde hair, blue eyes. Abductors are Estanel Ario Cawthron and Justin Lee Brown. This is an 8-year-old white male. If you happen to be in that area or out anywhere in Southern Virginia or around northeastern North Carolina, near Chapel Hill, you need to contact the Chapel Hill Police if you have any information regarding this abduction. All you have to do is dial 911 if you're in that area, or star HP. This is an Amber Alert out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Anyway, getting back to these earthquakes, I believe this is still a serious place. Aftershocks hitting here all the time. Half the time, USGS did not even report that. This earthquake, however, was reported by the U.S. agency. We drop down into Indonesia. USGS is only reporting one earthquake in Indonesia. This is a 4.8 near Tual, Indonesia. This is the same location as a volcano. Okay, a 4.8 moderate earthquake in Tual, Indonesia. We go eastbound. The next earthquake I want to report is also a 4.6 moderate quake. This is near Sola, Vanuatu, 114 kilometers southeast of Sola, Vanuatu. Why is this important? Earthquakes continue to happen in this area. This is a highly volatile area. This area of Vanuatu is where we've seen 5.0s, 6.5s, and even a 7.5 last year at this time. We need to keep our eye on the ball here in the southern Pacific Islands. We go east from there. Another 4.8 moderate earthquake hit in Nadi, or near Nadi, Fiji. This again is 123 kilometers west-northwest of Nadi, Fiji. A 4.8 moderate quake there. We go southeast from there, also in the Fiji Islands here. A 4.2 earthquake there in the southern Fiji Islands there. We have to keep our eyes on the ball. We need to know what's going on and why. There are a lot of wonderful people in the Fiji, the Tongan Islands, in Vanuatu as well. Thousands of people down there. I'm just waiting for the time when there's a major earthquake here and it hits the islands. Usually all the large earthquakes are hitting offshore in the ocean here. If the earthquakes hit offshore like they are doing today, all of the seismic energy is absorbed by the seawater. That's why this is important. Nobody's gotten hurt here, but it could happen. It could easily happen. NCWQ Explorer is talking about a 2.1 earthquake hitting in the Gulf of Santa Catalina, California. This is also a significant area because the Rose Canyon Fault is also in this area, Santa Catalina Island. Okay, there are other faults also around that area, but this could very well happen that we have a major earthquake or even a large earthquake in this area. This would rattle all of Southern California and make life miserable for a lot of people. That's why we need to know about that. Canadian Patriot 1, nothing wrong with wearing glasses, many of us do. Yeah, I got new glasses about 2 weeks ago. I appreciate all of you noticing that. Anyway, there are earthquakes down in New Zealand today. There is also a 4.6 moderate earthquake in Methven, New Zealand. And I know I probably butchered that name. Methven, probably Methven, Methven, New Zealand. Now, folks, this earthquake is an interesting place. This is the central part of the South Island of New Zealand. Rarely do we ever get moderate earthquakes in the south central part of the South Island of New Zealand. This is a 4.6. Now, we have had other earthquakes here as well, but this is a moderate earthquake here. I don't actually see the seismic energy spreading or getting larger than this. This earthquake seismic energy is probably going to go south of New Zealand down to the Antarctic Ridge, and that might be a good thing. One other earthquake that is very pressing on us right now. This earthquake was a 5.1 just over along the coast of Nicaragua today. This earthquake could have been worse. It's just along the coast of Nicaragua, 14 kilometers northeast of Jiquileco, Nicaragua. Jiquiillo. And I know I butchered that. I don't speak that good of Spanish anymore. Jiquileco, Nicaragua, a 5.1 earthquake. Folks, this also is something we need to pay attention to. We haven't seen a 5.1 earthquake hit land in Central America for a while. I have not heard any reports of damage or injuries as a result of that quake. 5.1 are large earthquakes. They can be dangerous, especially in this area. I don't think, and I might be wrong by this, but I don't think there's anybody in that immediate area. There is a village to the northwest of there. Okay, that's probably the village that they're talking about here. They say it's northeast of Jiquileco, Nicaragua, but I don't think that's correct. I think it's south of there. But like I said, it's not right in that town. It's just south of there, probably about 100 miles south of there. Now, this might be a good thing because if it hit in the town, there probably would be injuries or worse and a lot of damage. There may still be a lot of damage because it's so close to that village. 100 miles with a 5.1 earthquake could be considered very important. Okay? That's what they're reporting. Down in South America, there are about 20 earthquakes down there. USGS is, again, not reporting all of them. They're reporting 2 earthquakes. A 4.1 in southern Peru. This is the exact same location where we had a 4.8 last week. This is a 4.1 near Luata, Peru, southern Peru. Southeast of there, in Bolivia. And this one in Bolivia today is on the borderline of Chile and Bolivia. This is again another 4.1 earthquake. Now, we're keeping an eye on this area because we've had so many 4s there. We could very easily see a 5.0 in northern Chile, in the Peru-Chile, Bolivia area. We have not had a substantial earthquake in northern Chile in some time. But with this energy building up in northern Chile along the border region of Peru and Bolivia, we may see a large earthquake developing, a very large earthquake developing there in the very near future. Going over to Europe, and again, USGS is not reporting any of this. We have earthquakes down in the Canary Islands. There are earthquakes over in the Azores, just off the coast of Spain, and earthquakes over around the Strait of Gibraltar. There are earthquakes in France, Switzerland, and Germany, but they're not being reported here. There are about 25 earthquakes over in Italy, not being reported. Croatia, Romania, not being reported. Over in Greece, we have about 20 earthquakes in Greece that they're not reporting. Earthquakes in Turkey. literally all over western and central Turkey. Earthquakes over on the border region of Syria and Turkey as well. The earthquakes in that area are as a result of major earthquake, a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit in this region here, the border region of Turkey and Syria. This was this time last year. These are all aftershocks of that major earthquake. These countries are still reeling and trying to recover from those earthquakes. And again, I want to say this. There was a 14-mile-long fissure that opened up in Turkey as a result of that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. 14-mile-long fissure, and it was 8 stories deep. You could fit an 8-story building in that fissure. That's how deep that thing was. And nobody can tell me, USGS bar none, can tell me that a 7.4 earthquake could open up a 14-mile-long fissure. I don't think it's possible, but it is entirely possible. In fact, I know for a fact that's the only reason that fissure exists today, because of that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Why is this important? That seismic energy is still hanging around there. We're still getting a lot of 1.2s, 1.7s, 1.4s, 1.8s, even 2.0s, and occasionally a 4.8 or a 5.0 in this region. These are going to continue for a very long time. When we get a major earthquake like this, you can expect aftershocks like this to happen for years and years afterwards. We saw an 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake in southwestern Puerto Rico 4 years ago. We're still getting aftershocks from those earthquakes 4 years later. This is going to happen here continually for many, many more years to come. That's going to happen. We've also seen other earthquakes over in the Middle East. Iraq has gotten hit. Afghanistan has gotten hit. USGS is reporting an earthquake, and this is again the same location where we had a 6.4 earthquake here about a month ago. I call China, AYKOL China. Today we have a 4.4 earthquake and a 4.5 earthquake in this area. Now, we also had a 4.4 in that same area, guys, in that same small area. These earthquakes are aftershocks of a large earthquake. This again will continue for who knows how long. These people have seen damage. They're also trying to recover from that earthquake. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 300 people were killed here in this Chinese earthquake. They're trying to recover. The Chinese government has moved temporary housing into this area. It's a very rural community kind of area. They've tried to move these temporary housing units in to give some people in that area a little bit of shelter. It's cold in that area. It's cold and wet. I hope that the Chinese government has moved the facilities in there to help protect those people. And their agriculture is probably very much needed in China today. Now, does anybody have any questions so far about anything we've said? I'm happy to entertain any questions at all. Gabriella says her cat died. I'm so sorry to hear that. God bless you, Gabriella. I'm so sorry. Just a sad day when one of our best family members, four-legged family members, passes away. Someone is asking what happened. Are you okay? I'm okay. I'm kind of okay. Let's put it that way. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know I've gone over this quite quickly, but I didn't want to pass this up because this is an important thing. Earthquakes are very important. McCade's here in the chat saying we're praying for you, man. I appreciate that. I could use prayers. Lack of energy, not feeling good, that kind of stuff. Of course, I'm still recovering from cancer too. So, cancer's hard. Okay, a lot of people said cancer's hard. Yes, it is. It's very hard. It's the strongest fight I've ever fought. Okay, and I'm not the only person going through it. Canadian Patriot 1 is also going through it. We have many people going through cancer. We're going to get this. We're going to get this and get through it. I've had my treatments. I'm in remission right now, but it's still a fight. I'm not going to lie to you. When you go through treatments, it takes a lot out of a person. And that's kind of what I'm still going through. I've gone through the treatments, but now I'm suffering as a result of some of those treatments. And it's hard. McKay says, I love that you are a Christian. I love Jesus' photo behind you. He will help you. Yes, he has, and he always will. That's one of my favorite photos. But I appreciate that. But seismic energy is something that we can't ignore. It's continually hitting all over the world, literally. Over in Iceland, there's still earthquakes hitting there. Some of the earthquakes in Iceland are a result of the mid-Atlantic fault. It runs all the way down from the southern part of the Atlantic Ocean all the way north into the North Pole. But the mid-Atlantic fault is running right down the middle of Iceland. And yes, earthquakes are going to be common because of that. The mid-Atlantic fault is expanding like this. And I believe that some of those earthquakes have been happening are a result of the mid-Atlantic fault expanding. I believe the mid-Atlantic fault is going to expand and separate Iceland at some point in time. That's what I believe. But a lot of these earthquakes that are now hitting are a result of the volcanoes over in Iceland. And we reported on some of those volcanoes. Now, actually, a lot of the volcanoes we have reported on. The problem with that, and I'll be honest with you, the volcanoes are also going. First, way in the southern region of the Reykjanes Peninsula, 2 years ago, we had the first volcanic blast in that area, but it wasn't a huge blast. Yes, molten lava stuck their head out of the ice and snow in that region. And it wasn't a huge blast at all. The molten lava basically leaked out of that volcano. And now it's a great big huge crater. But it leaked out over that whole area and it filled in valleys. The lava filled in valleys. And we had photos and movies, videos of people standing right next to the molten lava. We're talking 2,000 degree molten lava. And we have people literally standing on the lava edge. That's insane. But people hike 5 to 7 miles to get in there to see the lava. And nobody really stopped them. Yes, the Iceland government put out warnings about that, because somebody could have gotten killed or severely burned as a result of that molten lava. So far, nothing's happened. Since the first earthquakes and the lava spilling out of that part of the volcano has moved north. There have been at least 3 other eruptions after that first one. The last one was just outside to the north of Greenvik. They first thought that Greenvik was also going to erupt in the town. It did not. However, the Mid-Atlantic Fault, I believe, had a great deal to do with the earthquakes and the fissures that opened up in Greenvik. Yes, there was molten lava just outside of Greenvik, but I believe that the Mid-Atlantic Fault opened up a lot of the fissures over in Greenvik. Then we had an eruption just outside of Greenvik. About 2.5 weeks ago, we had another eruption north of there. The molten lava, or the magma just beneath the ground, is still causing havoc in Iceland. It's moving north. We also have a molten magma reservoir beneath the power plant, which is also just north of Greenvik. The ground is rising up. It's very possible that we might have an eruption where the power plant is. The power plant is at a point where they have dug into or drilled into the volcano in the upper magma chambers to obtain steam to power turbines, generate electricity, and also to send hot water from the groundwater system of the volcano all over Iceland, providing hot water and electricity to all of Iceland. Now, with the ground rising up underneath the Svartsengi power plant, you can imagine what could happen. Iceland has 2 power plants, but the Svartsengi power plant just north of Greenvik is the main plant. When this last volcano erupted, north of Greenvik, north and east of Greenvik, or actually not northeast, but northwest of Greenvik, in the last eruption, the lava that erupted covered the pipeline leading from the Svartsengi power plant to Reykjavik and Greenvik. Why is that important? Because crews had to divert the water, the hot water, and electric lines to Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. They had to divert the lines because the lines had been compromised by the molten lava. So they rerouted the electrical and hot water lines, and that worked just fine. But if this continues to go like some scientists believe it will, we might have another eruption very soon over near Reykjavik, possibly just southeast of Reykjavik. We don't know. Nobody knows. But the fact of the matter is, with the magma reservoir just underneath the Svartsengi power plant, we might have an eruption there. There is a possibility of that. And if that happens, the main power plant for Iceland will go down. It could be destroyed. So this is also a very important story that we're following. I'm not going to let it go. Yes, we have quite a few people that are concerned, but we also have people going, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. It very much does. Iceland is a tourist location. Iceland would lose hundreds of thousands of dollars if that power plant went down. The Icelandic people would be affected, and the tourist dollars would also be affected. I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. That would be a very terrible situation. Also, North and east of Greenvik and east of Reykjavik, we have another great big huge volcano. And not today, but in this past weekend, we had a couple more small and minor earthquakes around that volcano. The volcano, I wish I could show it to you. The volcano is a huge piece of ice. It's a huge glacier. Okay, it's over on the east coast of Iceland. This volcano last erupted, I believe, in 2000. Now, when that erupted, the eruptive cloud was carried across the Atlantic Ocean over to Europe. It blanketed that ash cloud blanketed most of Europe. It knocked down the flights coming into Europe. No airline flights of any kind could go into Europe for, I believe it was 2 months. That could have been a very tragic thing to have happen. It's been 21 years, 22 years since that volcano erupted. It's been quiet. It's a great big huge glacier. They don't believe it's going to erupt anytime soon, but it could. So we're kind of watching that as well. There's a lot going on here. We've had earthquakes in Scandinavia, Norway, and Sweden. I used to live there in the 70s. We used to live in Sweden in the 70s. We never even had earthquakes there. And now earthquakes are happening almost every day in Norway and Sweden. So guys, it's building. Seismic energy is building all over Europe. And we can't deny what's going on, and we can't take our eyes off the ball. Millions of people are going to be affected by these earthquakes. And I'm just not going to stop reporting on it. We need to keep our eyes on the ball. Thousands of people depend on us talking about it. Do we have any other questions? We've also had some earthquakes over on the New Madrid Fault. There's a lot of consternation. There's been a lot of comments going on about the New Madrid Fault. Yes, it's active. Some people, because the USGS has not been reporting on it, some people don't believe that anything's going on. That could be the worst thing to have happen as the USGS continues to not report on the events happening there. Up until my computer went down and not able to report on the computer, and I could show you seismograms, not being able to report and show you seismograms does not mean it's quiet. It's not. The New Madrid Fault is on fire. Okay, it's on fire. Up until 2 years ago, all we had was tremors. In 2 years' time, the New Madrid Fault has gone from tremors to minor earthquakes, small earthquakes, even up to moderate earthquakes during this past year. With the continued growth and strength of these quakes, I would expect to have a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault sometime within the next 1 or 2 years. Seismic energy is building. It's not stopped. It's literally not stopped. Okay? We cannot stop looking at that area either. Now, the New Madrid area, back when it last erupted or opened up in a huge, at the time they thought it was a 7.1 earthquake. Now they believe it was upwards of over an 8.1, 8.2 at the very minimum. Now, why is that possible? Okay, it's a major earthquake fault. It's huge. It's huge. It's opened up before that. Now, when it last opened up, very few people lived in that area. I've reported on that. Huge fissures opened up in the ground. They opened up in the ground all over the horse and buggy paths. Now those horse and buggy paths are 2-lane highways, 1 lane in each direction. What would happen if we had an earthquake there today. We have thousands upon thousands of people living up and down the entire New Madrid Fault. From the Gulf of Mexico, we have Mississippi, we have Tennessee, we have Kentucky on the east side of the fault. Over on the west side of the fault, we have Oklahoma, we have Arkansas, we have Louisiana. The fault actually extends all the way north to the Great Lakes. So when this earthquake opens up, we can see damage, injuries all up and down the fault from the Great Lakes down south. Highways would be totally obliterated. The freeway bridges from the I-40 freeway running from Memphis, Arkansas into Memphis, Tennessee would go down. That bridge has already had problems. We reported on that last year. What can happen now? That bridge goes down. Thousands upon thousands of people traverse that bridge every day. Bridges all up and down along the Mississippi River will also go down. Boat traffic, ship traffic up and down the Mississippi will be halted. This will affect thousands upon thousands of people. When the earthquake first went off, it stalled the water of the Mississippi from flowing for 7 minutes. The river actually started flowing backwards, northbound, and it filled in a spot that's now known as a Reelfoot Lake. REELFOOTE, Reelfoot Lake. It's a huge lake. On the way from Utah to here to North Carolina, I traversed past that lake. I saw how large it is. Again, what's going to happen when that fault goes off again? Is Reelfoot Lake going to be expanded and the cabins all over that area destroyed, flooded out? There are people that go fishing there, people that just go boating and having a good time with their families, all up and down the entire fault line of the Mississippi River. It could be a very dangerous area. They say probably 1,000 people will die, 1,400 people will die. I think those numbers are very small compared to what really will happen. Okay? So this is another area here in the United States we need to take a look at. We've had many earthquakes up and down all over the world. We've had major earthquakes over in Japan, major earthquakes in the Philippines, major earthquakes in Indonesia, major earthquakes down in the South Pacific Islands, major earthquakes everywhere. We're not going to stop reporting on them. USGS is blind. They're blind. They don't really care. But folks, we need to know what's going on. We need to know what's going on. I'm just trying to look through the chat here and see if I missed any questions. Does anybody have any questions? We have Nurse Ava Marie Griffin here. Thank you very much for being here. She's a holistic nurse. We appreciate her being here. She's a dear friend of ours. Charles Hem says, Ron, I've been fishing a trip there years ago. Strange place. Deepest part is about 10 to 13 feet deep. Yeah, that's what I hear. It's an interesting place. When that flooded out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken from reading about it, and I studied that whole area along the New Madrid Fault, but when that water came in from the Mississippi and flooded there, cabins were flooded out. We don't know how many people were killed by that earthquake. Nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know. Captain Apana says, what's going on? They just got there. If you need to know what's going on, I would tell you to go over to the beginning of our program after we close it out. Go over to the beginning of the program and watch it from the beginning. We talked about a lot of things tonight. Dwayne says he loves that picture of Jesus in the background. Yes, I do too. It's my favorite. And thank you, Nurse Griffin, for asking everybody to hit the like button. That's wonderful. We appreciate that. Laura Marie's here from Oregon. Appreciate her here. She's a very dear friend of ours. She says, I might coming on. Have I given any updates? Have you given any updates about the Rancho Palos Verdes, California area? Rancho Palos Verdes is an interesting area. Rancho Palos Verdes has been having a bunch of tremors and even minor 2.1, 2.2 earthquakes. USGS is not reporting on them. The only agencies reporting on them is the Caltech, which is the California Institute of Technology. They are the ones that run the seismographs in Southern California. We pull seismic data from those seismograms that they give out. That's the only way there's any good active information because the USGS doesn't cover it. But there are some minor tremors and earthquakes hitting there. Blake Stewart says, do you like Ohio State? I've only been there once to Ohio. I worked on a disaster drill in that area near Cincinnati a lot of years ago, so I got to know some students and some professors from the University of Ohio. Good people. I met the police chief at one point in time, the fire chief. I worked with many of the firefighters and police officers and sheriff's deputies in that area. Great people. It's a great thing. Any other information from you guys? You guys have any information for me or any questions? Dwayne says, I'm sure a bunch of people love you and also loved by God. Yes, thank you very much. We are. We're very lucky. I'm very lucky. My wife and family are very lucky as well. Dwayne said, have a good night. You too, Dwayne. God bless you. Dwayne's asking, have you ever gone to Michigan? Yes, I have been in Michigan. I've got a cousin that lives in Michigan. Adventure Mike says, good evening. What's going on? I've covered earthquakes just generally throughout the world. And there are a few concerning areas I've talked about. You can go back to the beginning of this program and find out more of what we talked about earlier. Is that erupting? No, it's not. Well, it is. It has been off and on for a while now, for probably a good year. It's not a major eruption. It's been ongoing for about a year. And Stromboli, which is next to it. Those two volcanoes keep going off and on. And no, I wasn't on earlier today. I was so busy with my head. It's like I was running around with my head cut off. Am I familiar with Hemisync? No, I'm not. No, I have no idea what that is. Actually, there is a minor eruption at Mount Etna. Apparently, it put on quite a show at one point in time. It last erupted really good back in December. And like I said, it's been erupting off and on for quite a while. Adventuring Mike says, I keep seeing leads of biblical weather in the Middle Eastern countries. Yes, it is. But that's been happening for quite a while. They get huge cyclones that blow in off the Indian Ocean, actually coming from even the Pacific, from over by Cambodia and Vietnam and it pushes over through the uh, East Asian area and goes into the Middle East and even China. And huge cyclones erupt over there and they flood the desert areas. It's very disrupting over there. And yes, it has killed a lot of people. Yeah, biblical weather all over that area. Sorry, I got something in my eye. And Rob 52 is here, one of my dearest friends. Rob 52 is here. I appreciate all of our mods, so you guys do an awesome job. And we can't forget about Don Patoka and our buddy Demon Catman from the east of England. God bless you guys. You guys are awesome. We got some of the greatest mods: Sleeping Volcano, Hurricane Heather, and many others. We appreciate and love each and every one of you. You guys are awesome. Any other questions? Man, I got this stuck in my eye. So in both eyes. You guys, NCWQ Explorer is a wonderful lady. She's got her own YouTube channel here. I would encourage anybody that would be interested, go over and give her channel some love as well. She reports on earthquakes. She reported on that earthquake in Idaho right after it happened this morning. Yeah. Rebecca's saying that YouTube's fixed and chat's fixed. Yeah. For how long? For how long? Yeah, Thomas is saying the 4.9 in Idaho was actually a 5.0 large quake. And I believe it may have been larger than that. They're not reporting any damage or injuries there, but that's a large earthquake. And the only reason there's no injuries is because it was far enough away from town. It was far enough away from town that nothing's happened. They got lucky with that. And Rob, thanks for reporting the seismic activity down there in the Gulf of California. Rob called me earlier today, and I was out trying to take care of something for my wife. I didn't catch the call, but I got the message. Yeah, the 4.1 down to Estacion, Kohala, Baja California. Yep. Apollo Man is asking, will this coming hurricane season be any more than normal? That's hard to say. I last talked to the the people in Boulder, Colorado, which is where the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration is in Boulder. And they're working on the workup on how many hurricanes or even tropical storms will be possibly named storms. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they believe there might be as many as 14 named storms this coming season, and that's a lot. That's a lot. Rebecca, what's that level that they came up with? Rebecca says, stay away from North Carolina. We don't need any storms. I agree. We had some big storms last year. I will tell you that. We had a major thunderstorm come through here, and there were tornado warnings, but no tornadoes hit this area. They hit outside here to the north and east. Didn't have any tornadoes hit here, but the storm was huge. It was huge. It knocked out our electricity, knocked out our internet, and it was blowing like great guns. Oh, they've actually upgraded to a Category 6 now. 185 miles an hour. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, winds between 157, 190 miles an hour. 192, yeah. Yeah, because we've had storms that got there. We got storms that got there. And so they had to do something. Yeah, fast is right. Doing tons of damage too. A lot of damage up and down the whole storm track. Yes, I think we probably get one of our first storms. I want to say maybe first part of June. Even though the storm season starts, I believe, in May. I believe one of the first named storms will be in June. Yeah, God is winning. God is winning. Now, since you guys don't have any questions, I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent for a minute. God is winning as long as we're righteous. Yeah, the hurricanes in Florida are very unsettling. I've got a lot of friends there as well. But God is winning as long as we are righteous. And the majority of us probably are hoping we're righteous. But there's a lot of evil in this world. And God will destroy those people. But I believe they've got an upper hand on things right now. And they've got to be taken down a few rungs. And I believe that God is going to unleash his fury. And it's only started. This is only the beginning of what we're going to see. And we think things are pretty bad now. You just give us another 6 months to a year and see what happens then. Especially if something happens, or should I say doesn't happen, with the coming election. Look out then. All heck's going to be unleashed. A lot of people are calling for a civil war in the United States. I believe that's pretty close to being right. This past weekend, some men from Syria were seen crossing the border illegally, and they were armed. They were wearing military fatigues and armed. These are military-aged men. They know what they're doing. They have their camps set up all over the United States. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. It's been going on for quite a while. I believe we're going to have not just martial law, but civil war here on our own shores. We have Russia breathing down our neck right now because we have a very weak president. Even his administration is weak and they know it. But Joe Biden is not calling the shots. If he even called the shots at the beginning, he's not calling the shots. I believe this is the third generation of Obama. Okay? And I would have some of you that would disagree with me. But I don't see that. I don't agree with what's going on. But I know what's happening, what we're seeing. Some people believe that we're in the middle of the tribulation. I don't believe that. I believe we're in the beginning of the tribulation. The only way things will ever be controlled is if we get our acts together. And at some point, God will win. God will win for about 2,000 years. And then the devil will come back in for a time. And he will tempt us, and he'll hurt a lot of people and take a lot of people with him. But between now and then, we have a huge time of tribulation. Maybe 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. But the longer we have the tribulation, the worse things are going to get. Yes, martial law is probably a good part of that. And I'm not saying it's good for us because it's not. It's more totalitarian government. Nobody wants to live that kind of government. Nobody wants to live in that kind of society. But it's very possible that could happen, and it could happen any time. If you think that just because you don't live in the United States that you're not going to see it, you are. What happens here in the United States goes all over the world. Everybody needs to be aware of that. We're going to stay on the air for as long as it takes to report on what's happening. But folks, we need to get our lives together. We need to get our lives together. Our very survival depends on that. Now, some of you are talking about that eclipse that's coming up in April. April 8th, 2024, big, huge solar eclipse. Linda Covington's talking about total darkness. Yes, there'll be a time period during that eclipse in the major part where the eclipse is going to happen over the United States. Here in North Carolina, we're out of that. We're south of the major eclipse area, meaning we're only going to have partial darkness. When I lived in Salt Lake City a few years ago, we had an eclipse that came over Salt Lake City, and yes, it got dark. It got dark enough for the street lights to come on. I was there. We're out in a park in downtown Salt Lake City watching it happen on a great big huge television screen. It does happen. But it's not going to be dark for very long. But given the information, things could happen. We need to be situationally aware of what's happening around us. Don't let your guard down. Don't let your guard down. I'm just saying. I don't want anybody to get hurt. There's a very good chance nothing will happen. But There are enough evil people in the world to make people's lives miserable. Linda Covington's also sent us a package today. Linda Covington sent me sent us a battery running on solar power to help keep our telephones charged here. And I greatly appreciate that. If I can open this thing. I just love these plastic packages. They're almost impossible to open. Oh, let's see if I can get in here now. Yes, I probably should open this before the show. Just a second. I've got something good here. I'll get into this package come heck or high water. Anyway, she sent us this battery here, and this will keep two of our phones going for a long time period. All we have to do is keep it charged. I've had batteries like this before. They're great batteries. This is called Ciao-Tech, C-I-A-H-O Tech, okay? Or C-I-A-O Tech. Good batteries, good batteries. Linda, thank you very much for this battery. It's awesome. I see we have some people being naughty sending us messages. That's not nice, guys. One, keep your message clean. Don't put up any websites in the chat without telling me beforehand. Anything that you want to put up in the chat has to be approved by me beforehand. Don't do it. Don't be harassing anybody. Don't be harassing me, or you'll be blocked. You don't want to do that either. Okay? You don't pick on our mods. Our mods are only doing the job that I asked them to do here. Our mods do a great job here. We appreciate and love all of our mods. Any other questions, guys? Don Patogas put up a thing on the chat I want to read here for you. He says, if yesterday was so hard, how prepared for today are you? It will determine how you will endure tomorrow. Absolutely. Absolutely will. I appreciate Rob putting up our PayPal and Venmo locations as well as our Patreon. We haven't received anybody over on Patreon in a very, very long time. We have two main locations for people to give us support in terms of donations. Two PayPal locations. Now, you don't see them down below our program in our program description right now, but they will be there later on tonight. Rob's been putting them up here in the chat. If you desire to support our program, please use those locations. both of them PayPal. Our Venmo location is still down. I'm working with Venmo to get it reestablished. But we have two PayPal locations. You can also support our program by going over and sending us a letter or card to our P.O. Box. P.O. Box 422, Valdez, Valdesc, North Carolina. The zip code is 28690. We appreciate any and all support that you give us. We're presently trying to get another computer to go on the air. Again, our computers right now won't get us there. I've tried. So we're doing this program from our mobile phone. I appreciate any and all support that you give us so we can get another computer here very soon. We've been looking at quite a few different computers here, but I want to get a computer that's, one, got a warranty, and two, that's strong enough to do the program. So I appreciate any and all support that you can give us there. We appreciate that so much. Olivia's been has given us donation here. Linda Covington sent us that battery, and she also gave us a donation this past week. Let me look here. I've got some notes here. Gary George sent us a donation. I gave everybody that information. Olivia, Phil and Jen, my friends from California, also donated to our program here. We appreciate that. Any and all donations you send us are greatly appreciated. Our P.O. Box is a good place to send those to. You can tuck your donation inside of a card or letter and send it to us. We love cards. The card that was sent to us by Phil and Jan, let me look at it here. It was a really cool card, and I greatly appreciate that. Phil and Jan sent me this card last week. Picked it up out of the mailbox, I think, on Friday. Inside the card, they tucked a check, and we appreciate that. And I put that in the bank. They say, "Thank you for the countless ways you make the world a brighter place. We both understand and are grateful for all the days and hours you put in to keep us prepared and updated on all the events happening these days." They said they had high winds coming through California. We reported on that as well. And the days it snowed in the mountains as well. Now they're feeling earthquakes every day. And they said, "God bless you, Ron. Sincerely, Phil and Jan." So it's a really nice letter here and a really nice note inside the card. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Phil and Jan. God bless you for that. We appreciate any and everything that you guys do for us. We really do. We just got a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. $5 super chat from NCWQ Explorer. Thank you so much, Renee. Rebecca, thank you so much. God bless you for that. We love and appreciate you so much. And anybody can do that. You can give us super chat. Super chats, guys, just so you know, we only see about 40 to 50% of that. YouTube takes all the rest of that money. So if you want to send us money, super chat's really not the way to go. Also, we don't get that money for about 4 weeks. It's sad. Any other questions or anything that I can help you with? I appreciate all that you do for me and my family. We love you and appreciate you so much. You guys are the best. Don Patoga puts up something else that I feel it's really important too. Proper prayer, proactive, proper preparation prevents poor performance. One of my best friends used to say that all the time. Now Linda Covington says, time to rest. Yeah, it's getting to be that time. Rolling Thunder 420 is asking, is the big one coming? Yes, it is. We just don't know when it's going to happen. The San Andreas Fault, for example, in Southern California, is capable of an 8.0 earthquake. Scientists are saying it can happen anytime within the next 25 years. But we see that energy building now. I think it's going to be a lot closer than 25 years. It's just like the Cascadia megathrust earthquake in the Pacific Northwest. Scientists are saying it can happen within the next 25 years. Seismic energy says different. It can happen at any time, anywhere. Literally. People need to get ready. These earthquakes are going to happen. And they're going to make someone's day very bad. You need to be prepared. You need to stand up for what's right. You need to stand up for God. You need to stand up as a representative of your family. Family. God, family, and country. In that order. You need to stand for something. There was a book written a lot of years ago by Gordon B. Hinckley called Stand for Something. I highly recommend that book to anybody. It's got a lot of wonderful ideas on how to stand and stand in holy places as well. My buddy Surgery is here. Dear friend from North Salt Lake. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. Any other questions for us? Surgery's been telling me, he sent me notes and stuff telling me that the place where he lives near Smithfield, Utah is rocking and rolling. Houses and buildings creaking and everything. Yes, it's all over. The Wasatch Fault north and south of Salt Lake City is popping, literally. And there's going to be a major earthquake there in Salt Lake City. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Bonnie says, if you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. You're right. Absolutely right. Penny saying, whoa, yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Well, guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to get out of here. I really appreciate any and everything that you do for us. Again, you can send donations to our P.O. Box 422, Valdez, Valdesc, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. You can also send to our PayPal locations, and I will put that information in the program description just as soon as we get off the air tonight. I ask God to bless each and every one of you. We love and care about everyone here. We love and care about your families and dearest friends. Texas lady we haven't seen in a while, thank you for being here as well. We love you and appreciate you as well. God bless you. God bless America. God bless each and every one of our countries. God bless our servicemen, men and women all over the world. Not just the United States men and women, but also our allied men and women. Those countries that support the United States, God bless you all. Our servicemen put their lives in danger. They stand for something. They stand for truth and righteousness. God bless them. God bless us all. Have a great night, folks. We'll be back on the air tomorrow, same time, same station, same bat channel. God bless you. Have a great night. Thank you so much, guys. We love you. Good night.